Welcome to Tomorrow Unveiled.
It feels like we've really hit an inflection point this week, doesn't it? In health science, I mean.
Definitely. There's a palpable shift happening. We're moving beyond just talking about adding years to life.
Right, the old lifespan conversation.
Focusing hard on maximizing health span, the number of years you actually live in good, solid, functional health. Feeling good, doing things.
That's the real goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Functional longevity.
Yeah.
And our dedicated research team, well, they pulled together a stack of sources this week.
Yeah.
And they really show this major convergence. It's not just scattered ideas anymore.
Like the pieces are clicking into place.
Exactly. We're seeing metabolism really cemented as like the central governor of aging. That's coming through loud and clear across multiple reports.
The main control system.
Absolutely. And right alongside that, we're seeing these, frankly, remarkable breakthroughs in non-invasive diagnostics, ways to see what's going on inside without major procedures.
And therapies too. Molecular stuff.
Oh, yeah. Highly targeted molecular interventions moving out of the theoretical and into, well, closer to reality.
So this isn't maybe someday anymore. We're talking about things in clinical validation or close to it.
Some are right there, yeah. We're showing really profound results in advanced models that translate well to humans.
Okay, so for everyone listening to Tomorrow Unveiled, this is your shortcut. We're going to unpack the molecular, the clinical, even the cultural shifts happening literally right now.
And we're focusing specifically on findings that aren't just one-offs. We're looking at what's being corroborated across different research efforts, the solid stuff.
Our mission here is always to translate this complex science into something you can actually use, something that makes sense. So let's dive into the engine room, the body's control system, metabolism, right? So the consensus is clear. Metabolism, it's the central governor. You hear that phrase again and again in the research.
It really is overwhelming. It's not just, one aspect of aging. It's fundamental.
It controls how everything runs, basically.
Pretty much. Metabolism dictates how efficiently your cells make energy, obviously, but also how well they maintain themselves, their structure.
And repair.
And critically, yes, how effectively they repair damage. That's huge. So when we talk about intervening, about using metabolic strategies to extend health span, we're essentially talking about restoring the body's entire energy system. Think of it like resetting to factory settings, right down to the mitochondria, the tiny power plants in your cells.
Okay, factory settings. I like that. And researchers, they've been looking for something that coordinates all this across the whole body, right? Not just in one tissue.
Exactly. A master coordinator.
Yeah.
And this week, wow, there's a really exciting new candidate that popped up in the research our team compiled, something called CTBP2.
CTBP2. Okay, what is it?
It's described as a novel secreted exosomal metabolic sensor. Let's break that down.
Please do. Exosomal.
Right. Exosomes are like tiny molecular mail carriers. Cells package stuff into them and send them out.
Little messengers?
Perfect analogy. So when the research identifies CTBP2 as a secreted exosomal sensor, it means cells are loading this sensor into these mail carriers.
And shipping it out.
And shipping it out systemically throughout the whole organism. This allows information about the metabolic state, how things are running, to be broadcast everywhere.
Whoa, so it's not just local chatter between cells. It's like a body-wide bulletin.
You got it. It's a systemic signal.
Yeah.
And this is really significant because, well, in basic research, in mouse models.
Yeah. What did they see?
Introducing this sensor, CTBP2, it seemed to coordinate healthy aging across the whole organism, systemically.
Coordinated healthy aging. How? What were the results?
They saw improved systemic metabolism, so the whole energy system worked better, and importantly, a tangible reduction in frailty. Less weakness, more robustness.
Okay, that's impressive. Why is this such a big deal, finding this one sensor?
Well, it's twofold, really. First, it gives us a brand new pathway, a systemic one, that links different tissues in the aging process. We didn't fully appreciate this connection before.
A new mechanism to understand.
Right. And second, maybe more excitingly, it gives us a very specific, accessible target for therapies.
Ah, so you could potentially develop something that mimics or boosts this CTBP2 signal.
Exactly. Imagine being able to inject this signal of metabolic youthfulness, telling the whole body to sort of get back into healthy mode. It's a powerful concept.
That ability to coordinate change across the whole system, it reminds me of something else we all know about, exercise.
Ah, yes. Good old exercise.
The research team highlighted a really powerful mechanistic review this week. It confirms that exercise isn't just, good for you in a general sense. It functions as potent biological medicine, right down at the molecular level.
Yeah, this review went deep. It wasn't just saying you should exercise more. It was showing the how, the molecular pharmacology of exercise.
Pharmacology, like a drug.
In a way, yes. Exercise triggers the release of specific molecules. You might have heard of myokines, things released from muscles, but other signaling molecules too.
And these molecules do what?
They actively orchestrate benefits throughout the body. Systemic metabolic improvements, immune system boosts. For instance, we know regular activity improves insulin sensitivity.
Right.
And reduces that chronic low-grade inflammation that's so bad for aging. It does this by stimulating these molecular messengers.
So when I go for a run, I'm not just burning calories. I'm actually delivering a targeted dose of beneficial molecules through my muscles.
That's the paradigm shift. That's exactly how we should think about it. A pharmaceutical dose delivered via muscular action.
Which means maybe someday exercise prescriptions could be really specific.
That's the implication, absolutely. Longevity medicine could potentially prescribe certain types or intensities of exercise based on the specific molecular pathways we want to activate for you. Personalized exercise based on your metabolic profile, not just generic advice.
Mind blown. Okay, let's pivot slightly. Another area of systemic resilience highlighted this week, hormones. Hormonal fortitude.
Yes, this was fascinating. Our research team detailed a study using these exceptionally long-lived Rottweiler dogs.
Dogs. Why dogs?
Because large breeds like Rottweilers, especially as they age, naturally mirror many human geriatric syndromes, things like frailty, certain cancers. They're excellent translational models.
Okay, makes sense. So what were they looking at in these long-lived dogs?
They focused on the integrity of the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, the HPG axis.
HPG axis that controls sex hormones, right, like testosterone.
Exactly. And the finding was crucial for understanding biological resilience. It showed that keeping this HPG axis robust, keeping it functioning well over time, acts as a powerful buffer against frailty. They looked specifically at male dogs.
And found what? Was there specific data that really jumped out?
Oh, absolutely. Get this.
Yeah.
In the male dogs, who had the longest duration of gonad exposure, meaning basically they maintained high cumulative testosterone levels throughout their lives.
Okay, the hormonally robust ones.
Right. For them, the mortality risk that normally goes up as frailty increases. It was, and I quote, effectively nullified or erased.
Wait, hang on. Nullified, erased. That sounds almost unbelievable.
It's a stunning finding.
So it's not just that testosterone helps maintain muscle mass, which combats frailty directly. It's doing something deeper, creating systemic resilience.
That's exactly what it suggests. The biological damage piling up, represented by that increasing frailty score, it just didn't translate into a higher risk of dying in these animals with strong HPG function.
How? What's the mechanism? How can hormones basically cancel out the negative impact of frailty?
Well, the thinking is it goes back to the fundamental drivers of age-related disease. Robust HPG function, sustained hormone levels, seem to create an internal environment that dramatically fights back against those adverse impacts.
Like lowering inflammation.
That's likely a huge part of it. Yeah. Suppressing chronic low-grade inflammation, what people sometimes call inflammaging, and probably maintaining mitochondrial health too. It's acting upstream, modulating the whole system.
So it shifts the conversation. Hormones aren't just about muscle or libido.
Exactly. It reframes them as creating fundamental systemic resilience, which provides a very strong rationale biologically for why maintaining healthy gonadal hormone function could be so important for healthy aging in humans too.
Okay, so metabolism is the governor, hormones provide resilience.
Right.
But we need gauges, right? We need ways to measure how fast that aging engine is actually running inside us.
Absolutely. And that's the second major theme emerging this week. Diagnostics are getting much smarter, much less invasive.
And the research pointed to our eyes.
Believe it or not, yes, the human eye. There's compelling evidence building that a quick, non-invasive scan of your retina.
Like at the optometrist.
Exactly like at the optometrist. That scan can serve as a really high-fidelity window into how your blood vessels are aging systemically.
How does that work?
The tiny blood vessels you can see in the back of your eye, the retinal vasculature, they're a direct extension of the blood vessels in your brain and your whole cardiovascular system. Their health reflects the health of the wider system.
So you're saying a quick eye scan could give us a snapshot of our vascular age? predict heart risk.
Precisely. It offers a scalable, because the tech is already widespread and highly accessible way to predict cardiovascular risk and actually quantify biological age, at least from a vascular perspective.
So if my eye vessels look older than my actual age...
It's a strong indicator that your overall vascular system might be aging faster too.
Wow.
It's a powerful early warning sign.
Wow. Okay, the future of longevity checkups might start with looking in my eyes, not drawing blood.
It could be a key part of it. And that speed and accessibility, it feeds into this next point about dynamic biomarkers.
Right, moving beyond just our genes.
Exactly. We talk about that sensor, CTBP2, being secreted in exosomes.
Yeah, the mail carriers.
Well, that discovery opens the door to developing a specific blood test, an assay, to measure the levels of circulating CTBP2.
Ah, so we can measure that systemic signal directly?
That's the idea. We're moving beyond static genetic markers, which tell you your inherited risk, to dynamic biomarkers. These give you a real-time snapshot of your metabolic state and how fast you're biologically aging right now.
Real-time feedback, that's a game changer.
It's a fundamental shift from static risk assessment to dynamic, actionable metabolic measurement. That's huge for preventive medicine.
Now, underpinning all this, making sure we're targeting the right things, our research team emphasized a methodological breakthrough, causal inference genomics. Mendelian randomization. Sounds complicated.
It sounds academic, definitely. But MR Mendelian randomization is incredibly important. It's essential for basically de-risking the whole process of developing longevity drugs.
De-risking how? What problem does it solve?
The huge problem in health research, correlation versus causation. You know, people who drink green tea might live longer, but maybe they also exercise more and eat better. What's actually causing the benefit?
A confounding factor.
Exactly. MR is a clever statistical way to get around that. It uses natural genetic variations, the ones you're born with.
Which are random, right? Like being assigned to a group in a trial.
Precisely. Mother Nature runs its own randomized controlled trial at conception. MR leverages these randomly assigned genetic variants as instrumental variables.
Okay. Keep going.
So, if a genetic variant is known to cause a specific biological change, let's say, it reliably leads to lower cholesterol levels.
Yeah.
And that same genetic variant also consistently correlates with a later health outcome, like longer health span or lower heart disease risk across large populations.
Then you can be more confident the cholesterol change caused the health outcome.
Exactly. You can infer causality with much higher confidence than just observing correlations. It acts like a powerful filter for potential drug targets.
So researchers can use MR to statistically vet targets before spending millions or billions on clinical trials.
That's the power of it. If a potential drug target doesn't show a causal link to the desired outcome using MR, it's likely a high-risk gamble. This helps focus resources on the targets, like maybe CTBP2 or others that have the strongest causal evidence behind them. It dramatically de-risks development.
Makes sense. So let's put these pieces together. Imagine a future checkup. You get a rapid retinal scan for vascular age, combined with maybe a simple blood test for dynamic biomarkers like this circulating CTBP2.
Right.
That paints a picture of a truly personalized health span protocol, doesn't it?
That's the vision, absolutely.
Right.
Moving preventive care into a truly personalized predictive realm. You could identify accelerated aging years, maybe decades, before symptoms even show up.
Amazing potential. But there's always a but, isn't there?
There often is. And this is where we have to pump the brakes slightly and consider the psychological burden, the ethics of it all.
Ah, right. What happens if you get that retinal scan or that blood test and the result is, well, bad, accelerated aging detected?
And crucially, what if there isn't a clear, proven, accessible intervention ready for you right then and there to reverse it?
That could be terrifying.
The source material our team reviewed raises this critical point. Getting that predictive information without a clear action plan could induce significant psychological distress, anxiety, depression. Sometimes people call it wellness anxiety.
Worrying about numbers instead of living.
Pretty much. If we can tell you you're aging faster, but we can't reliably tell you how to fix it yet, is the knowledge actually helpful? Or could it diminish your quality of life, cause more harm than good?
That's a heavy question.
It is. The clinical rollout of these amazing diagnostics has to be ethically synchronized with the availability of effective, validated interventions.
The solution needs to arrive with the diagnosis. Synchronization is key. Okay, that's a perfect point to pause for a moment. Before we dive into the clinical trials working on those very interventions, just a quick note. If you're finding this insightful here on YouTube, please do take a second to like this video, subscribe to Tomorrow Unveiled, Maybe even hit that new hype button, apparently, that helps us reach more viewers. And definitely turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next.
Yes, please do. And if you're listening to Tomorrow Unveiled on a podcast service, perhaps Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we would be incredibly grateful if you could leave us a rating and a review. It honestly makes a huge difference in helping new listeners discover the conversation.
Okay, we talked about the need for solutions to go with the diagnostics. Let's get into the interventions that are actually maturing in clinical trials. Where are we seeing real progress?
There's exciting movement on several fronts. Our research team highlighted a really interesting breakthrough targeting the aging of our blood stem cells using something called platelet factor 4 or PF4.
Blood stem cells. The ones that make all our blood and immune cells.
Those are the ones, hematopoietic stem cells. And PF4 was identified as a critical regulator of how these cells age.
What goes wrong with them as we age?
Well, one key thing is that the levels of PF4 circulating in our bodies decline. And that's a problem.
Why? What does PF4 normally do?
It seems to act like a brake or a quality control checkpoint. When PF4 levels drop, these stem cells start proliferating, dividing, kind of unchecked.
Making too many copies.
Yeah, and accumulating harmful mutations along the way.
Yeah.
This contributes to chronic inflammation, a weaker immune system. It's linked to conditions like clonal hematopoiesis, which you hear more about now.
So, falling PF4 removes the brakes, the stem cells go wild, accumulate damage, and weaken our immunity.
Got it.
Right.
You got it.
Yeah.
So the intervention was logical. What if we put PF4 back?
And did they try it?
They did, in older mice. They administered PF4 daily, and the results were pretty profound.
Like what?
They successfully rejuvenated the entire blood and immune system of these old mice, restored a more youthful balance in blood cell production, improved immune function.
Wow. Rejuvenated. How quickly?
Within weeks, apparently.
Yeah.
And critically, they saw the same kind of rejuvenation effect when they tested it on human stem cells grown in the lab.
That's key for translation. So this could potentially treat age-related immune decline or improve stem cell transplants.
That's the hope. It's a true biological reset for the blood system, addressing aging at the source. Very promising.
Okay, from resetting stem cells to cellular garbage disposal. Synolytics, getting rid of those zombie senescent cells. What's new there?
Progress here is really about precision, specificity. Senescent cells do bad things like pump out inflammatory molecules, but they also have some roles, maybe in wound healing, so you don't want to just carpet bomb them.
Right, minimize collateral damage.
Exactly. The research team noted work on new techniques to actually tag senescent cells more specifically, like putting a homing beacon on them for the therapy.
Smarter targeting.
Yes. And that's complemented by really exciting advances in the delivery technology, something called Xenotac.
Xenotac sounds advanced. How is it different from older Synolytics, like the dasatinib and quercetin combo people talk about?
It's a different mechanism. Xenotac technology uses something called PROTACs. That stands for proteolysis targeting chimeras.
Okay, PROTACs. What do they do?
Think of a PROTAC not just as blocking something, like an inhibitor does. Think of it as a molecular missile that tags a specific problematic protein for destruction.
Tag and destroy.
Exactly. It hijacks the cell's own garbage disposal system to specifically degrade the proteins that drive senescence. So it offers potentially much better targeting precision.
And maybe longer lasting effects, because you're removing the bad protein entirely.
That's the expectation, yes. Prolonged therapeutic effect compared to just inhibiting something temporarily. It's a sophisticated upgrade.
And are these more precise approaches, or even the older Synolytics showing results in humans?
Yes, and intriguingly, not just in aging itself, but in cancer treatment too, which is powerful validation.
How so?
Well, the combination of dasatinib and quercetin, the older Synolytic combo, was tested alongside immunotherapy in patients with head and neck carcinoma.
And
It significantly reduced tumor burden, but here's the really striking part. It did so with markedly lower toxicity than the standard chemoimmunotherapy regimen.
less toxic and effective. How?
It seems the Synolytics didn't just help kill cancer cells. They also appeared to rejuvenate the patient's immune systems. They saw restored function in naive T cells, basically reversing markers of immune aging while fighting the cancer.
That's incredible. A dual benefit, less harm from treatment, plus a stronger immune system to fight the disease.
Phenomenal, isn't it? It
Yes.
really shows the potential link between tackling senescence and improving outcomes in other diseases.
Okay, let's do a quick check-in on an old favorite, NAD plus A, the metabolic coenzyme. still important.
Still absolutely critical. The clinical validation for NAD plus precursors and supplements just keeps growing and getting more solid.
What's the key takeaway now? Is it just about energy?
The experts emphasize it's much deeper than just a quick energy boost. Restoring NAD plus levels is ultimately about enabling cellular repair and optimizing mitochondrial function.
Fueling the cleanup crew.
Exactly. NAD plus is essential fuel for crucial enzymes like sirtuins and PRPs. These are the guys doing DNA repair, cellular maintenance, the real housekeeping. So it's fundamental infrastructure support for the cell.
Good to know it remains a pillar. Okay, finally in this section, a really specific and potentially huge breakthrough in Alzheimer's research, targeting a specific high-risk group.
Yes, this was big news from a phase 3 trial. It involved an oral therapy called volyltremiprosate, or ALZ-801.
ALZ-801. And who is it for?
It was specifically designed and tested in patients who have 2 copies of the APOE4 gene, the APOE44 genotype.
Ah, the highest genetic risk group for Alzheimer.
The very highest. They face up to a 60% chance of developing Alzheimer's by age 85. And importantly, they also tend to have a higher risk of side effects, like brain swelling or microbleeds from the current antibody-based immunotherapies that target amyloid plaques.
So this drug, ALZ-801, must work differently if it's oral and aimed at this sensitive group.
It does. It intervenes much earlier in the disease process.
Earlier than the plaque-busting antibodies.
Yes. Instead of removing existing plaques, ALZ-801 works upstream to block the formation of what are called soluble amyloid oligomers. These small clumps are now thought by many to be the truly toxic species that damage neurons, even before plaques form.
So it stops the poison before it builds up into plaques.
That's the mechanism.
Yep.
By blocking these toxic oligomers early with an oral drug, the hope is to slow or stop the disease progression while avoiding those infusion-related side effects.
Makes sense. And the trial results, what did they show?
Well, this is where it gets nuanced but really informative. The drug didn't actually meet its main goal, its primary endpoint, when they looked at the entire population studied, which included people with early Alzheimer's overall.
Oh, so it didn't work.
Not so fast. There was a key analysis they planned beforehand, a pre-specified analysis focusing only on the participants who were treated very early at the mild cognitive impairment, or MCI stage.
Okay, the earliest detectable stage.
Right. And in that specific group, the APOE44 carriers treated at the MCI stage, they saw significant clinically meaningful benefits.
Like what?
Slowed brain atrophy, so less brain shrinkage, reduced water diffusivity, which is a sophisticated imaging measure suggesting slower neurodegeneration, and better cognitive outcomes compared to placebo.
Ah, so it did work, but only if caught extremely early in this high-risk group.
That seems to be the story. It highlights a crucial message we see across so much longevity and neurodegeneration research. Timing is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
And patient selection. You have to intervene early before too much damage is done.
Okay, we absolutely have to talk about the drugs that have exploded into the mainstream consciousness and completely reshaped the conversation around metabolic health. The GLP-1 agonists. Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro.
Yeah, you can't ignore them. It's a full-blown cultural and medical phenomenon. And the narrative around them has shifted so fast.
How so?
They started as treatments strictly for type 2 diabetes or significant obesity. But now, they're being seen and used much more broadly, almost as general lifestyle transformation tools.
And where are people getting their information about this? Is it doctors driving it?
Not primarily, no. That's what's fascinating. The data our research team compiled is striking. 45% of people said they first heard about GLP-1s from social media.
Wow, almost half compared to doctors.
Only 19% heard about it initially from a medical professional. Traditional media was also big, around 41%. But social media is a huge driver.
So the conversation is happening online, driven by users, influencers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And rapid access telehealth platforms are playing a big role too, providing direct-to-consumer prescriptions. It's bypassing traditional gatekeepers to some extent.
Consumer demand meeting almost instant access. And you said the narrative is changing too, beyond just weight loss.
Definitely. The initial buzz was all about shedding pounds, obviously. But now, the online discussions, the user reports, they're much more focused on holistic benefits.
Like what are people reporting?
Things like improved hormone regulation, better insulin resistance markers, even if they weren't diabetic, cardiovascular benefits, lower inflammation systemically.
Things we've been talking about as key to aging.
Right. And this concept of eliminating food noise, that constant background chatter of cravings and hunger cues, People report a profound shift in their relationship with food, even mental clarity.
So influencers and users are framing these drugs not just as weight loss tools, but as ways to reset metabolism, gain control, maybe even improve cognition.
That's definitely part of the narrative emerging online, a broader wellness package.
And this user-driven adoption has led to some interesting trends, like microdosing.
Yeah, the microdosing trend is real. People deliberately taking less than the standard starting dose or spacing doses out more.
Why are they doing that?
Several reasons came up in the research. A big one is avoiding side effects, like nausea, which could be significant at full doses.
Makes sense.
Another major factor is cost. These drugs can be incredibly expensive, especially without insurance coverage. Microdosing makes them more affordable, stretches a prescription out.
Practical reasons, but is there anything else driving it?
Yes. The research team also flagged a smaller but distinct and growing trend of people microdosing GLP-1s specifically for longevity.
For longevity, not just weight management.
Right. Motivated by the idea of extending health span, improving overall wellness metrics, tapping into those metabolic benefits we just discussed, but maybe at a lower intensity.
Even though the long-term clinical trials for that specific use aren't there yet.
Correct. It's consumer experimentation driven by the desire for proactive health span extension based on the drug's known metabolic effects.
Fascinating. And all this consumer buzz, this demand for better metabolic control, is it impacting the health industry itself, companies?
Absolutely. We're seeing a clear strategic shift. Companies are now focusing resources and marketing on concepts like metabolic synchronization.
Metabolic synchronization, what does that mean?
It represents this new strategic focus. The goal is to develop programs and potentially products that aim to reverse metabolic dysfunction with a targeted, often proprietary metabolic reset plan.
Moving beyond just telling people to lose weight.
Exactly. The emphasis is shifting towards quality weight loss. That means preserving precious lean muscle mass while specifically targeting the harmful visceral fat around organs.
Quality over quantity, how do they measure that?
They often break it down into specific mechanisms they're targeting. For example, some programs focus on burn, specifically targeting that bad visceral fat, and they'll cite studies showing, say, a 14% reduction in 16 weeks.
Okay.
Then there's preserve, focusing on retaining lean mass during weight loss, showing maybe 98% retention in their models.
Crucial for maintaining metabolism.
Absolutely. And finally, protect, actively supporting healthy muscle tissue to keep that metabolic engine running strong even after weight loss.
So it reframes the whole approach. Whether you're using a GLP-1 drug or focusing on lifestyle, the goal is this synchronized metabolic reset for better long-term health.
Precisely. Robust metabolic health is being positioned as the foundation for vitality and health span. And the science, including the GLP-1 insights, is providing clearer targets for what that reset needs to achieve.
All right, let's transition now into a really specific, maybe unexpected area of health span-related research. Preeclampsia. That's a high-risk pregnancy disorder. Why is that relevant to longevity?
It seems unrelated at first glance, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
it connects right back to those fundamental cellular mechanisms of stress, energy, and communication that go wrong in aging.
How so?
The investigation our team looked at focused on something called mitochondria-associated membranes, or MAMs.
Yeah, MAMs. Okay, what are those?
Think of them as physical bridges, communication hubs inside the cell. They're dynamic connection points between the mitochondria, the power plants, and the endoplasmic reticulum, which is like the cell's factory and detox center.
So they connect energy production with manufacturing and cleanup.
Exactly. And these MAM connections are critical regulators for things like calcium signaling, lipid metabolism, very fundamental processes. And we already know that dysfunction in MAMs contributes heavily to age-related conditions like cardiovascular disease and metabolic disorders.
Okay, so broken communication bridges inside the cell lead to systemic problems, whether in aging or preeclampsia?
That's the link they found. The investigation showed that placentas from pregnancies affected by preeclampsia, especially the severe early onset kind, had clear structural problems with these MAMs.
What kind of problems?
Specifically, they saw increased MAM contacts, more connections, but in a way that indicates stress and dysfunction, not healthy communication. It's like the lines are overloaded or tangled.
A physical sign of cellular stress.
Yes. And this structural issue went hand in hand with the dysregulation of another system, the calpain-calpastatin system. Specifically, a key protein called calpain-2, was downregulated, turned down.
And calpain is involved in?
Regulating lots of critical processes like breaking down old proteins, cell signaling. So finding these MAM structural issues and the calpain-2 dysfunction together in preeclampsia placentis.
It suggests these fundamental cellular communication breakdowns are involved in the disease.
Strongly suggests it, yes. It links these core cellular stress and communication pathways directly to a serious disease state, showing how these mechanisms are relevant across the lifespan, not just in old age.
That's a really powerful molecular connection. Okay, let's zoom back out. We've talked about specific interventions, PF4, Senotax, metabolic resets, even ALZ-801. How do we bring this all together for the future?
The clear message, the synthesis from all this research, is that the future is multimodal, combinatorial. Meaning single interventions are unlikely to be the magic bullet for maximizing health span, because aging isn't one single thing.
Right, it's complex. Metabolic decline, immune problems, those zombie cells, DNA damage.
All interconnected. They talk to each other, influence each other.
Yeah.
So to really move the needle, we probably need to target multiple pathways simultaneously, synergistically.
And we actually have evidence that this works better.
Yes, there's solid evidence from sophisticated model organism studies. One foundational study, for example, combined 4 different types of aging interventions in mice.
What did they combine?
Things like activating telomerase, using rapamycin, a senolytic drug, and stem cell transplantation. A real cocktail approach.
And the results?
The combination extended the mice's lifespan significantly more than any one of those interventions did on its own. It showed an additive, maybe even synergistic benefit.
So 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 equaled more than 4.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
It validates this principle that comprehensive combinatorial approaches are likely key to maximizing health span. We need to stack the benefits.
And this idea, this multimodal approach, is it gaining traction institutionally? Are funders getting behind it?
It seems so. The research team noted the NIH, a major funding body in the U.S., has recently funded the establishment of the Los Angeles Pepper Center.
Pepper Centers focus on aging research, right?
Yes, and this one involves a collaboration between major research institutions specifically aimed at translating geroscience, the science of aging biology, into clinical care. And crucially, a key focus is designing and running multimodal trials that test these combined therapies in humans.
So the infrastructure is being built to test these cocktail approaches.
Exactly. It signals a formal commitment. We're moving away from the era of just single drug trials for single diseases towards an era where integrated, personalized, multimodal protocols could define the future of longevity medicine. Hashtag tag outro.
Okay, let's try to wrap this up. A lot of ground covered in this Immortality update. What are the big takeaways for you listening right now?
I think it boils down to 3 main areas of convergence we saw this week.
Go for it.
First, metabolic interventions are getting really precise. We're targeting core aging pathways now, like with that systemic sensor, CTBP2, or understanding the incredible resilience that comes from hormonal fortitude, that HPG axis integrity. Is moving beyond general advice to specific molecular targets.
Right. Second.
Diagnostics are leaping forward, faster, less invasive, and way more predictive. Think retinal scans for vascular age, blood tests for dynamic biomarkers like circulating CTBP2. Getting that real-time feedback is becoming possible.
And third.
Clinical trials are maturing across the board. We're seeing progress in precise Cellulytics, continued validation for NAD+ optimization, and even highly targeted drugs like ALZ-801 showing promise for specific high-risk groups like APOE44 carriers and early Alzheimer's.
And meanwhile, the whole cultural conversation around metabolic health driven by GLP-1s is just exploding. People are taking control.
Absolutely. That mainstream awareness is a huge factor now.
But there's still this underlying challenge, isn't there? The regulatory piece.
That's the big elephant in the room, yes. As sophisticated as the science is getting, regulatory bodies like the FDA don't officially recognize aging itself as a treatable disease, as an indication for a drug.
So companies developing these therapies, they can't just say, this drug slows aging?
Not yet. They have to target specific age-related disorders, things like immune dysfunction, sarcopenia, metabolic syndrome, cognitive decline, and then essentially work backward, showing their intervention improves that condition by targeting the underlying biology of aging.
It's a workaround, basically.
It defines the whole strategy right now. But as these tools get better, as multimodal therapies start showing real success in tackling these age-related diseases, it leads to a really provocative question for you, the listener, to think about.
Lay it on us.
What happens to society, to healthcare, to how we view life, when extending health span, not just treating sickness, finally becomes the primary goal? when preventing age-related decline becomes the main focus of medicine rather than a secondary benefit? What changes then?
That is definitely something to chew on, a fundamental shift. We genuinely love hearing what you think. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast app, please drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts on this week's Immortality update, the future of longevity science, that provocative question, anything.
Yeah, join the conversation. And thank you for joining us on Tomorrow Unveiled.
We'll see you next week.